Hello, and in this Blender tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a low poly terrain like this one, including trees, stone, grass, and even snow. So we will jump right into that. First we have to go into Edit, Preferences, and search for a dot, okay, it's instantly there, Add Mesh ANT Landscape, you have to enable that. Now we press Shift A and go to Landscape. Now we have this terrible hill here, but we want to have a large scale terrain. So for that we first have to go to Fall Off, select None, disable Shade Smooth, enable Triangulate because it looks better in low poly terrains, or generally in low poly. Then we have to think of any number for the factor of scale of our terrain. I will go with 3 here, so I will multiply the subdivisions of the mesh and on X and Y by my factor, so 3. It takes a while. Now we have more detail, but we want a bigger terrain and not more detail. So we also go to noise size and divide it by our factor, so by 3. Now we have a bigger terrain, but the displacement is way too big. So we go into the display settings, height, and divide that also by our factor, so by 3. Now we have a pretty good looking large scale terrain. The problem is everyone will create exactly this terrain. So we have to go in the offset, and maybe I will choose Y today and type in some number. And now we have a completely random terrain. So if you use this offset too, you get exactly the same terrain. Nice! Now we have our terrain. So then we go into edit mode, press 3 or this button to go into face select. Select any face down here, for example this one. Press S, Z, 0 to have a completely flat face. And now go into select, select similar, select similar, normal. This will select all faces that have the same normal facing like this one. Now we have to go up with the threshold, so for example 0.1. Like this looks pretty good, I think. This will be our grass, because grass is mostly on flat land, so maybe go 1 or 2 steps further, yeah, like this. Now we are going to create a new material. First we have our stone material. Stone. Then we have our grass material. And we also have a snow material. The stone is everything by default. So we will now go into the grass and assign that. Now we can select a color like green and go into the rendered view, and now we can see our grass. The next step is to select the snow. So we press 1 to go into the side view, and we drag to use the box selection tool to select the upper regions of the terrain. Now we go into snow and press assign, and now we can go back into the rendered view and select a very high white. Also we go into the stone and make it more gray, like this. Now we have to create a water plane, so we just create a plane and drag it up, like this. Looks good, I think. So we create a new material on it, call it water. If you want to render in cycles and stuff like that, you can use a glass BSDF or just turn on the transmission, but I will just go into the base color and select nice bluish color. Nice. Now our terrain is pretty much done, but we still need some trees. I will show you now how to quickly create a tree in a new collection. So we will create a cylinder, and we will set the vertices to 6, so we have a hexagon, and press SX to scale on the x-axis. And now we can go again into the face selection mode, select the upper face and press E, right click or escape, and scale it up. Now we inset it and press G, Z to bring it up. Now we do that a couple times, like this. I for inset and bring that up. One last time, escape, scale, inset, and bring up. So now I will select the auto merge vertices and press S0 to make a flat, to make a completely sharp edge. I think I will, this is way too big, so I will scale that by pressing Shift Z to scale on every axis except the Z axis. Now I can bring down this too. And now we have a pretty nice tree. Now we have to assign some materials. First, the leaves, and a second material for the wood. Nice. Now, the leaves should be green, and the wood, we have to select the wood and assign it. Press, select this face, Control plus to select the nearest faces too. Press, go to wood, assign, and use orange and make the brightness lower. So, okay, that's a bit too low. Something like that. And now we have a nice tree. I will drag that into our normal collection. And now our landscape isn't there anymore, and that's because it's very, very small. So we quickly select the landscape, including the water plane, and scale it by the factor of 100, I think. Like this. Now we bring up the tree, and now we go into the landscape, into the particle systems, create a new particle system, emitter. You can also use here, but I don't know how to do that. Go into physics, none, and we have to use the frame start 1. So now we can see the little particles. Now we have to create a vertex group. I will call it trees. And now I will go into edit mode, deselect everything, select the grass, deselect everything, select the grass, and then we go into the side view and assign the grass to the trees, because the trees also are just on flat land. And now we are going to select everything beneath the water plane. Okay, we forgot to going into the wireframe. And now we can select everything beneath the water plane. Like this. Yeah, looks pretty fine. And we will remove that from the trees, so the trees are not standing underwater. And now we can go to render as object. You can also create multiple trees if you want, and then create a collection out of them and select the collection here. I will use just this one cube, Nice. We can also rename the tree to tree. And now we have this super small, cute cubes. Sorry, trees. Now we go into the scale factor and scale them up. Make some scale randomness because not all trees are exactly the same, have exactly the same size. Then we go into, we say object rotation, and going into the rotation, check that, go into the global X, I think it's right, yeah. Okay, I forgot to assign the vertex group. Here in density, we have to select trees. Now the trees are only standing where we want them to be. And now, because not every tree is exactly facing upward, we can go into the rotation back and randomize a bit. And this is pretty much our terrain. If you think the trees are too big, you can just make the scale a bit less. And I think I will double these tree count, so something like that. And now we have a pretty nice low poly terrain.